You know, we got very interesting news from the courts that you are not to access your office. Does that extend to members of your cabinet and members of your office?
No.
Or what difficulty are you facing? Because we don't understand why the office cannot continue running even in your absence. And by the way, you need to tell us what subsequent steps have been taken by EACC after that dramatic raid on your office and home. We have our friend from EACC, she's called Patricia, she's looking at me suspiciously. I just want to know, Governor, have you been charged formally?
I was taken to court and charged formally. The matter is before court now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I address us about access to office.
Of
Do
course,
your officers have access to the offices?
one of the conditions I was given when I applied for bond was that I should not access my office for 60 days.
Yes.
And my office, like a command post, that's where the government services of Trans Nzoia County are coordinated from. So if you are not there, you run into hiccups like these ones. Because you're all over the place, you're in Kimini, you're in the best. Sometimes you need to consult the offices. Documents have come to the office, you can't have access to them. So really, I'm not expected to be at my best when I'm not operating from my...
When do those 60 days lapse?
It was from, was it on 19th? From 19th of last month. Yeah.
Of April?
Yes, of May.
Of May.
So 60 days, it should be 19th of July.
Yeah, but I think I would be making a factual statement by saying that you still are the governor of Trans Nzoia. Is that not the case?
I'm the governor of Trans Nzoia. Yeah.
So any other thing, because even what Senator Sifuna is referring to is not something that has been brought to attention formally. We are not usually persuaded by newspaper articles, even though we can take judicial notice. Therefore, whether you're operating in an office in Kitale or operating from your liaison office in Nairobi, you are still the CEO, you are still the captain of the team, and we would expect that your team would respond and would provide documentation and play their respective roles, irrespective of where you are sitting.
Chairman, if you are a captain of a football team, however good you are, and then they tie your hands behind your back, and the fans and the coach and the manager still expect you to score the 3 goals that you always score, is that a reasonable expectation?
Do you keep records in the governor's office?
We do. All correspondences land to the governor's office. The governor's office means the county secretary, myself, and we give guidance.
Do you keep financial records in the governor's office?
No.
So the conversation we are having is on financial records.
Yes.
Shouldn't they be availed, whether you are sitting in that office or not?
Mr. Chairman, this is the reason why a governor is here. Because if you go that direction, then I'll be saying, I don't handle finance, why am I here? It goes with ultimate...
Governor, you are not getting my point. And if you take that route, we are going to get into problems that we don't want to get into. There has been a view that under the circumstances that Senator Sifuna has alluded to, which again I've said is not formally before us, that we should not even entertain you before any committee of the Senate. We have taken the view that unless you are removed by the Senate or removed by any other proceedings, you are still the governor of Trans Nzoia. Now, if you want to argue with that, then you can argue with that. Because the other view would have been to say that we don't want to see you until the court is done with you. So, because I could see you were taking a direction that was going to put us into arguments. But we have taken the view that everyday money is being spent in that county, and until you are removed by Parliament or until you are removed by any other process, you will be the one to respond as the CEO. What I'm trying to emphasize, which perhaps you're not seeing, is that in whatever state you are in, you still have the power to whip your team and to demand performance out of them. The failure to bring these documents on time cannot be tied to your being not in office, because the rest of the officers are in office. So I'm just trying to tell you, go back and whip people into line. This is a waste of public resources for us to come to Nairobi and to abort a meeting simply because your officers did not do what they expected to do. I hope tunasikizana up to that point.
Mr. Chairman, I already admitted to the act of omission or commission. I already admitted to it. And I never gave any excuses whatsoever. The issue of a court case was not raised by myself. I just admitted that we've not brought the documents on time, and therefore the auditor general does not have sufficient time to look at the documents. I've not given any excuses. I'm just admitted that we did not provide the documents in due time.
Senator Cherargei?
Yeah, Chair, I think Governor is on oath, and he has confirmed that he cannot access his office because of the court's direction. One, Governor, you should provide a copy of the court order. Number two, the information some of us have is that you have been operating from sub-county offices, which I want to presume are the offices where you discharge your duties. Even on a number of occasions, we have seen you in a company of a priest blessing a number of those offices in Cherargei and other parts. So when you say you don't access your office, is it only Kitale office, which is the headquarters of Trans Nzoia, or any other office, including your liaison office in Nairobi? Because it doesn't in any way hamper your provision of documentation.
Information as a committee.
What's your point of order, Senator Betai?
Do we require that kind of information as a committee? Is that matter before us?
You know, Chair, for me, I'm a bit sympathetic because I've been thrown out of my office before. Very famously, you remember, the Speaker kicked me out of Parliament for 3 days. And they even threw out my staff. I didn't know that when in the Senate, when you are thrown out, even your staff are thrown out. And they locked the office. Honorable, yes. So that's the reason why I was asking that question. Maybe the tradition is different. But you can see the sort of encumbrance it places on someone.
But
Chair, you
didn't get my question.
But Chair, you made a ruling.
My question is simple. The governor has said, who is on oath, that he cannot access his office. But the question you ask him, which office? Is it Kitale office or any other? Because the information we have is operating from other sub-county offices. So where is, that is just, I wanted that clarification.
Okay. Senator Omogeni?
Yes, Chair. You know, I'm just wondering. I want to understand where EACC is coming from. You have told Governor Natembeya not to step into his office. He is telling us this afternoon he's able to meet his CEC, prepare reports, and appear before this committee, Chair. You know, we are the defenders of devolution. I would want us to take this matter further. I will request, Chair, with your permission, I'd like to see the orders that were issued by the court tabled, because I believe Judge Natembeya is on oath. Let's see the orders that were issued by the court and how they were worded.
Correct.
And let's see the charge sheet also. We see the gravity of the charges that he was facing. And Chair, I'm speaking as a lawyer who has acted for number two in command in the other arm of government. When the DCJ was charged in court with a corruption case, and even my friend here, Cherargei, I acted for Cherargei, I acted for Mwilu.
What were the charges?
And
I'm not on
I'm saying this on a very serious note. None of those very senior Kenyans were barred from their offices. So we also need to interrogate this matter further, because we live in a country where one could easily abuse court process for ulterior motives. So let's seize this moment to just look at these orders that were issued by the court and how they were worded. And if possible, let's also hear from the governor whether those orders are impeding him from discharging the functions of his office. Because you have said very clearly that to the people of Kenya, to the people of Trans Nzoia, the person they know as their governor remains George Natembeya. So could you request that that order be tabled before us, together with charge sheet, for purposes of interrogating whether that's one way of interfering with the devolution. Remember, we had our president and deputy president charged before ICC, but they continued being president and deputy president of the Republic of Kenya.
I'm going to give directions. I remember, gentlemen, it's already 4 o'clock. We had our internal agreement. Governor, unless there's something you want to say at this point, because I'll need to give directions on how we are proceeding. If only if necessary.
I just want to confirm with this committee that I'm bearing my legal burdens with grace, because I know where they're coming from. And I know there are people even who don't want me to step in Trans Nzoia. I don't know, for whatever reasons. It's politics, and I'm a politician. And of course, if you need the charge sheet, a copy of the charge sheet, you can have it availed even now on soft, and even the court ruling on bail application. I can avail it on my phone. You look at it and you'll just see where this is coming from and where it's going.
I think, let me give directions. There are 3 distinct things here. There is the politics, which we shall not allow into this meeting and into this session. There is justice, which is perhaps what Senator Kongo Mogeni is asking for. And maybe this will not be the first and last situation. It would be useful for us as a Senate to take a position that will guide with people in this situation. I think, members, what we've been confronted with before is a case of a governor who's been impeached by the Senate but has been rescued by the courts. And so the question has been, would such a person still appear before committees of the Senate? I think that we have dealt with in the case of Wambora, in the case of Kawira, but I think your situation could be similar to the situation of Moses Lenol Kulal of Samburu. So from the justice perspective, Senior Counsel, I think this is a matter that we can find a way of interfacing with the legal committee, and that is where now the orders can be scrutinized. This committee deals with the 3rd element, which is accountability. Whether you're in office or not, public funds are being spent. Whether you're in office or not, these senators are voting to allow more money to come to Trans Nzoia, and we must ask those accountability questions. We were ready to do so, but the Auditor General has received the documents late. We must reprimand you and your officers for that delay, and I think we've already agreed on that. This meeting, therefore, will not proceed because if we want to deal with accountability, we can't do it in the absence of the Auditor General. And if we are not careful and if we proceed, we'll get into the realm of politics, which I do not want to get into. We'll then adjourn this meeting. We shall give notice of the next date of meeting. And please, Governor, make sure that when we give notice of the next date of meeting, your people are whipped in line and that we don't have a repeat of this situation. This meeting is therefore adjourned. Members of the